corruption, this corruption that Gordon Brown and Blair and the rest have led us into, where 95% of the budget is missing, I think is disgusting. And quite frankly, we have got to get out of it quickly. In my life, I have seen a lot of things. I've seen countries handed over, and the first things they do is get rid of the Senate, and the Senate is the equivalent of our Lords, and all they've done is try to destroy the Lords to shut them up. And so right now we've got a nation that is being forced to do something. 75% to 80% of the nation, in polls that were conducted years ago, said they didn't want any part of Europe. And today it must be even worse. But they have hog-tied us, and they have not allowed us on technicalities, on lies. These people had the right to maintain the powers that we gave them and maintain our independence. Who told them to go and hand this over? They had a referendum only on a trade treaty, a trade agreement. That's all it was. It was not this sort of thing, where all our labour laws, our transport, our defence, our immigration, asylum, sovereignty, criminal justice, and foreign policy. There they all are, listed in the mail this morning. These are the things that they've handed over in secret. And they wouldn't let us have a referendum, even although Blair lied. He told us twice in the Commons that, to a question, once, and the question was, Mr. Blair, will we have a referendum on Europe? And he said yes. And then on the opposition bench, a man got up and said, Mr. Blair, just to get this straight in my mind, does that mean to say that if every nation in Europe turned down the Constitution, we would get a referendum? And he said yes. Straight after, and that was just for the election, because during the election, every time somebody brought up the European situation, they said, oh no, well that is after the election, that was on question time, and a few other things, we'll have that opportunity to discuss that. Let's get on the bread and butter issues for the election. Straight after the election, he welched on the deal and said it was not necessary because Holland and Belgium. That was not what he agreed to. He agreed that if every nation turned down that constitution, we in actual would get a referendum. And then what they did was, to get round this situation, they changed the name from Constitution to Treaty. And, it was the same thing. I mean, even the man who put the Constitution together admitted it was the same thing. And just about every head of Europe has said that. The only man who somehow seems to think that it's not is Brown. He's the only man who seems to think it's not. But, I mean, everybody else says the same thing that I've read of. And all of the leaders and President of Europe and all these people say it's the same thing. Of course it's the same thing. All they do is move a few clauses around. They put A by C and D by F and F by G. That's what they did. They just missed it around a little bit to make it even more unintelligible than it was. I mean, if you look at the American Constitution, it's about 2 pages. Very simple, easy to understand. This thing is a nightmare of a document that nobody can read. And you're not supposed to read it, but it's a constitution. And they've lied about it to get it through, deceived us, betrayed us, and done away with our constitutional right, our right to speak on technicalities. On technicalities, is that right? We must, in actual fact, as a people, reject this. And all these men who say, oh, well, it's put through now, etc. That's like saying Hitler's going to win the war. He's bombed our airfields into subjection. We can't win this. And handing it over. Or even doing that before. That's what they're doing. It's only a piece of paper, folks, that we've signed. And it was done on a lie, a deceit, a betrayal, and every other thing that Cromwell has mentioned. And I sympathise with that man for what he said. It's high time for me to put an end to your sitting in this place, which you have dishonoured by your contempt for all virtue, and defiled by your practices of every dishonour. For every vice, you are a factious crew and enemies of a good government. You're a pack of mercenary wretches, and like Esau, sell your country for a mess of pottage, and like Judas, betray your God for a few pieces of silver. And that's exactly what's happened. They have not maintained our rights. They've given them all away. And it's all listed in here. Get the mail. Have a look at it. You can get it on the internet. If you're on the internet now, you can get it. And, I mean, I even criticise these newspapers. The Sun, the Times, the Mail. I criticise the Independent, etc. And, the Telegraph. Why have they not been publishing this all the way down the line? Why haven't they been telling us what this Constitution was about? Not to my knowledge they haven't, or if they have, it's been sort of on the 10th page under a small little heading. It should be on the headlines. The actual deceit and lies. Today they've got everything about Afghanistan. Well, it was fortunate. I suppose the government must regard those 5 men as fortunate that they were killed. And I don't regard that as being fortunate. I think it's disgusting that these men are being put under that danger, while allowing these enemies of our men to be in that room. But the government has had a lot of this nonsense, this stuff here taken off the front headlines because of that. And people have been sort of once again denied the sight of the mess that we're in. And we are in a mess. We're losing our engineering industries because they're moving to Europe. Now our banking industry, which is in a serious mess, and this country is paying for, the Europeans are telling us what to do. And we're supposed to be thankful for that. Oh, God, Brown got up the other day and said, I'm happy to tell you they have got permission from Europe. Who told him to get that sort of permission? Who told him to get that sort of thing? We didn't. We asked him not to do that. He knew that 75 to 80%. No wonder when he walked in, they slithered in like a damn snake, and he put his hand up on the thing and just signed it up there. He didn't want to be seen doing it. I don't know about you, but I thought it was a disgusting state of affairs. And then he felt it as well, but he knew what he was doing. We must get rid of these people. The Lib-Lab cons have had their day. We must vote for independence. We must vote for UKIP. We must vote for even the BNP. I couldn't care. I'd hate to see these people in power, but anybody to start changing things, because what's the BNP done wrong? They didn't destroy the economy. They didn't set up 3 monitoring places that had no responsibility, so that if anything happened, nobody's going to take the responsibility. That's what happened. They didn't sign us up into Europe, into this nightmare, without taking away our rights. They're pro-Britain, at least, as far as I can make out. They make some mistakes, but, who doesn't? Cameron has just admitted a huge mistake. His cast iron guarantee turned out to be nothing. That's his cast iron guarantee, and I've been a Conservative all my life, and so has my family. We're up to here with it. Now he wants to say, oh, we'll stop any future. The horse is gone. There's no good shutting the door now. The horse is bolted. The only way to do this is to get out of this mess. The world is going ahead. Europe is constipated. So many rules and regulations to keep people down. How is it that we existed 1,000 years before we had all these rules and regulations? What do we need them for? We don't need them. They're just money-making rules. You put men like Blair in, and he's negotiating. How many millions and millions is he earning by doing these negotiations in the Middle East, which he's achieving very little with? It's drifting towards war. I mean, everybody admits that. They just don't tell you in the press over here. They don't tell you that Iran has the rockets that North Korea has that can hit West America, west coast of America. That same rocket in Iran can shoot right across Europe and hit Newfoundland. That's what range they've got. These aren't told to us. And what else aren't they telling us? They're just lying to us, and they're hiding everything like they've done on Europe. We as a people have got to get rid of this Lib-Lab con lies and deceit and betrayal that we've experienced, and all of us must be sick of it. I couldn't care if there's 25% that aren't, but 75% of us who are thinking and reading and understanding and have been involved in history and current events since I was sort of 8 or 9, I'm 66 now, watched in ever-growing horror of what is going on. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you can sort of try and understand how frustrated a lot of us feel about what has been going on over a long period of time, because this nation has been absolutely sold down the line. And Heath gave away our engineering because that was the only way he could get into Europe. That's why we've got no engineering anymore. Cars, trucks, boats, ships, everything. We're only allowed to build our own aircraft carriers now. Isn't that disgusting? Thank you very much for listening.